chronicled in deep dispute with my record label. And
Which is Warner Brothers, right?
Yeah.
Prince couldn't stand a lot of big-name artists, and he was very blunt about it. There was one rock legend he hated so much, he literally threw his guitar in the air just to prove a point. And behind the scenes, he roasted other stars for copying his sound and clowned their overstyled hair. So who were the 6 artists that really got under Prince's skin? And what did he actually say about some of music's biggest names that left people completely speechless? Join us as we find out the 6 artists Prince hated the most. Number 6. Michael Bolton. Coming in at number 6 is someone most probably wouldn't expect. Michael Bolton, Mr. Soft Rock himself. The guy with the big voice, bigger hair, and those emotional ballads. But this wasn't just about musical taste. For Prince, this ran really deep. By the late 80s, Prince was everywhere. Purple Rain had turned him into a global icon. He was bold, unpredictable, mixing funk, rock and blues, basically tearing up the rulebook and writing his own. He was pushing music into places no one else even thought to go. Then Bolton came along, doing the exact opposite. Instead of pushing boundaries, Bolton played it safe. He'd take classic soul songs, music rooted in black culture and raw emotion, and smooth them out for the mainstream. His 1991 cover of When a Man Loves a Woman was huge. It was polished, radio-friendly, and easy to digest. And Prince couldn't stand it. When that cover blew up, Prince reportedly turned to his band and said something like, "That guy wouldn't know real soul if it hit him in his processed hair." Cold. But it wasn't just about the hair. That line wasn't about looks. It was about what Prince saw as fake soul. To him, Bolton wasn't honoring the music. He was sanding off all the grit, the pain, the struggle, the emotion, and selling the hollow version to people who didn't know the difference. It felt like someone profiting off black culture without understanding or respecting where it came from. Prince didn't just see it as imitation. He saw it as theft. Bolton's success wasn't a fluke. It was part of a bigger trend. Artists were taking real, authentic black music and repackaging it to fit into neat little boxes. No edge, no depth. Just soft, clean, and easy to sell. Prince called it sanitized soul, and he hated everything about it. Music journalist Alan Light once said Prince believed some artists were sucking the heart out of music, stripping it down until there was nothing left but something shiny to sell. Prince never named names publicly, but behind the scenes, people knew who he meant. Things got awkward in 1994 at an industry event. Both Prince and Bolton were there. Photographers tried to get a shot of the two of them together. Prince refused. He dodged the cameras, stayed out of frame, didn't even pretend to be polite. When someone tried to set up a photo, Prince allegedly said, "Some associations you can't wash off." Brutal. Meanwhile, Bolton had no clue. He just kept doing his thing, recording, touring, making hits. After Prince died in 2016, Bolton even called him a genius in interviews. And maybe he meant it. Maybe he never realized that Prince spent years quietly seeing him as a symbol of everything wrong with pop music. But here's the thing, it was never really about Bolton personally. Prince didn't hate the man. What he hated was what Bolton represented, playing it safe, making music just to sell records, putting style over soul. To Prince, music was supposed to make people feel something. It was supposed to challenge them, shake things up, push the boundaries. If you had to water down your sound just to fit in, he didn't think it was worth it. That's why this whole situation mattered. It wasn't about egos, It was about values. Prince didn't judge other artists by how many records they sold or how many awards they won. He looked at what they stood for. Were they doing something new? Were they being honest? Were they adding something real to the culture? That was the bar. To him, Bolton wasn't a villain. He was something worse. Proof that the system rewarded artists for playing it safe. And in Prince's eyes, that was the real danger. Because if everyone started chasing what was easy, who would take the risk of making something great? But if Prince had issues with Bolton, just wait until you hear what went down with pop's ultimate queen. Things got real messy. Number 5. Madonna. And here, things get a whole lot messier. Madonna wasn't just someone Prince didn't like. She was on his level. Equal parts fame, controversy, and cultural influence. Their rivalry wasn't just business. It got personal, and it got ugly. Back in the 80s, these two ruled the music world. Both loved to stir things up. Sex, scandal, pushing social limits, they played the same game. Prince wrapped his music in religious imagery mixed with raw eroticism. Madonna? She did the same, but with her own style. Both of them controlled their careers down to the tiniest detail. You'd think they'd be allies, breaking barriers side by side. But no, they became bitter enemies. It all started in 1985 when Warner Brothers execs thought it'd be genius to pair the two biggest provocateurs for a duet. They booked studio time, planned everything. This could have been the decade's biggest moment. But Prince shut it down before it even got started. His sound engineer, Susan Rogers, later spilled the tea. Prince didn't think Madonna had the musical chops. He basically said she was no more musical than the mixing board they used in the studio. Ouch! This wasn't just some casual jab. Prince seriously questioned whether Madonna deserved to be called a musician. To him, she was just using music as a stepping stone to fame, not because she really got the art. Madonna never found out how harsh he really was, but the message got out loud and clear. Prince turned down working with one of the biggest stars in the world. That spoke volumes. At the heart of it, their beef was about how they handled controversy. Prince's shocking content came from a deep artistic place. He wasn't just trying to get attention. He was exploring love, spirituality, and life's complexities. Madonna's drama, in his eyes, was all planned out to make headlines and sell records. Prince even told reporters that music was losing its soul because artists cared more about selling an image than making real art. He never named names, but everyone knew he meant Madonna. Her constant reinvention? That was everything he hated about pop music. Things hit a boiling point in 1994 at one of Prince's legendary secret after-show gigs. Those late-night, low-key concerts where he'd throw out the rule book and experiment with his sound, lyrics, and vibe in front of a small, elite crowd. These shows weren't about polish or performance for the masses. They were raw, intimate, and deeply personal. And on this particular night, Madonna happened to be in the audience. Midway through his set, he launched into Sexy MF, his famously provocative track that usually oozed confidence and seduction. But this time, he switched up the lyrics. Right there on stage, under the spotlight, Prince looked directly at Madonna and sang that she wasn't sexy at all. It was cutting, public, icy, and unmistakably personal. The entire room felt it. The crowd, usually buzzing with excitement at his lyrical improvisations, fell into an awkward hush. This wasn't just a playful jab. This was Prince using his art like a dagger, turning a sultry anthem into a direct, unfiltered insult. Madonna, who had been trying to stay cool and collected, didn't linger long after that. She left shortly after the moment, clearly stung by what had just gone down. And really, who wouldn't be? That kind of call out from Prince, in front of an exclusive crowd, during a song meant to hype someone up? It was a very public way of saying, "We're done." The moment became one of those stories that floated around in the music world, whispered in green rooms and passed around industry circles. For Prince, it was business as usual, turning real-life drama into music, live, with zero filters. For Madonna, it was a brutal reminder that with Prince, no grudge ever stayed private for long. This moment showed the real difference between them. Prince believed music had to be authentic, even if that meant it wasn't the biggest hit. Madonna? She knew exactly how to play the game, changing her image and style to stay on top. Prince told his drummer once that Madonna was fully aware of every move she made. Nothing was spontaneous or real. For a guy who valued honest artistic expression above all, that felt like a betrayal. Still, they respected each other on some level. When Prince switched to that unpronounceable symbol in 1993, Madonna joked he was the artist formerly known as relevant. It was a burn, but also a compliment. Later, she called him a musical genius. So yeah, respect was there, even if the rivalry never cooled. Their feud proved a big question about art. Should artists chase the biggest crowd, or should they focus on being true to themselves? Madonna chose the spotlight. Prince chose the art. Neither was wrong, but they just couldn't share the same stage peacefully. Madonna's calculated game was already something else, but just wait until you hear what Prince thought when he ran into music that didn't even feel human anymore. Number 4. Black Eyed Peas. Prince's frustration with the Black Eyed Peas wasn't just about a band he didn't like. It was about what their music symbolized for the whole industry. By 2009, the Black Eyed Peas were everywhere. Their album, The END, had smashed the charts with hits like I Got a Feeling and Boom Boom Pow. Their songs were the soundtrack for clubs, sports arenas, commercials, basically anything that needed a crowd pumped up. But to Prince, this wasn't music. It was something else entirely. They represented a new kind of hit-making machine. Instead of raw talent and spontaneous creativity, they used computers to craft perfect beats, auto-tuned every note to flawless polish, and even tested their songs on focus groups to figure out what would sell best. Everything was calculated, no risk, no soul, just marketing. Prince showed up at an industry party where will.i.am was DJing, expecting to soak in some inspiration or maybe hear something fresh. Instead, he felt like he'd walked into a business meeting, not a music event. The beats were so precise they felt robotic, the energy high but hollow. After about 10 minutes, Prince just left. No words, just a clear message. This wasn't music to him. His closest people later said Prince described the night as listening to marketing rather than art. That's how much the Black Eyed Peas' style shook him. To him, they weren't creating. They were manufacturing emotion, swapping genuine feeling for slick technology and clever branding. The auto-tune tech especially made him cringe. Sure, it fixes a singer's mistakes, but the Black Eyed Peas took it way further, making their vocals sound almost synthetic. Prince believed this stripped music of its soul, turning it into a plastic, emotionless product. He told reporters music isn't supposed to be perfect. Real music is messy, raw, and meant to make you feel something real. But with every beat quantized and every note auto-tuned, the Black Eyed Peas were making catchy but empty tunes. Their massive success proved something scary. People would happily buy into this slick, computerized sound. That kind of commercial triumph was exactly what Prince was fighting against. His bandmates said Prince watched their performances at award shows with a mix of disgust and disbelief. The synchronized moves, the flashy effects, the robotic vocals, it all felt like a rehearsed marketing stunt, not a real musical performance. The tension hit a peak before the 2011 Super Bowl halftime show. Prince had rocked the 2007 halftimes in a legendary rain-soaked performance, raw, authentic, unforgettable. The Black Eyed Peas were set to perform in 2011. When producers wanted Prince to join promotional stuff linking past and future acts, he flat out refused. No way was he letting his legacy get tangled up with what he saw as empty spectacle. He reportedly told his band, "Some people make music, some people manufacture it. One makes art that lasts, the other sells products with expiration dates." To Prince, the Black Eyed Peas were the poster kids for everything temporary and disposable in pop culture. This was never just about style or taste. Prince saw them as a direct threat to what music should be, a space for real, human creativity. Their success sent a message. You don't need talent or soul, just the right technology and marketing plan. That terrified Prince more than any rival ever could. The Black Eyed Peas weren't just a band. They were a glimpse into a future where real artistry didn't matter, and music became nothing more than a manufactured product. But the whole manufactured music thing was nothing compared to what happened when someone straight up stole Prince's real sound, without so much as a heads up. Number 3. Justin Timberlake. Prince's clash with Justin Timberlake cut deeper than any other rivalry on this list. This wasn't just about different styles or how they made hits. It was about straight-up theft. Timberlake took Prince's signature Minneapolis sound and built a solo career on it without giving Prince the credit he deserved. It all started back in 2002 when Timberlake left NSYNC to go solo. His debut album, Justified, had production from big names like the Neptunes and Timbaland. But if you listened closely, you could hear echoes of Prince's Minneapolis funk all over it, the rhythms, the synths, the vibe. It wasn't subtle inspiration. It was basically Prince's sound, repackaged. Jimmy Jam, a well-known music producer, revealed that Prince was instantly annoyed by Justified. He felt Timberlake was stealing his entire musical vibe without a nod. This wasn't just influence, Prince saw it as straight-up copying techniques he'd spent years perfecting. Things got louder in 2006 when Timberlake's Sexy Back blew up everywhere. The song's stripped-down funk beats and sexual swagger were pure Prince territory. At a post-Emmys party, Prince threw some shade, telling the crowd, "Sexy never left." It was a clear jab. Prince was reminding everyone he'd been owning that sexy funk long before Timberlake stepped into the spotlight. The media ate it up, turning their unspoken feud into a headline. Timberlake fired back in 2007 with his song Give It To Me, throwing lyrics questioning why everyone was copying his style if sexy was never really gone. Now it was a full-on public spat about who owned the sound and who was just riding someone else's coattails. The tension got more personal when Timberlake mentioned Prince in interviews and performances without really showing respect. To Prince, Timberlake was cashing in on a sound he created and treating him like just another artist, not the legend who laid the foundation for much of today's rhythm and blues and pop. Prince didn't hold back. He turned down offers to appear in Timberlake's videos or work on projects together, refusing to legitimize what he saw as theft. That sent a loud message to the industry: Prince wasn't having it. The rivalry hit a sore spot at the 2007 Golden Globes. Timberlake made a joke about Prince's height by crouching on stage. It was supposed to be funny, but for Prince, it was deeply disrespectful. Height had always been a sensitive subject for him, and this crossed the line from professional rivalry to personal insult. He reportedly told his bandmates afterward that some things just shouldn't be joked about. This moment revealed the bigger picture. Timberlake represented a generation of artists who felt entitled to borrow from pioneers without giving them proper respect. He was performing a version of Prince's artistic identity, getting credit as an innovator while dismissing the man who made it possible. Prince's frustration wasn't just about Timberlake, it was about a whole industry that rewarded younger artists for copying old innovations without acknowledging the originals. The media and fans would praise these new stars as geniuses while forgetting the true trailblazers. And to make it sting even more, Timberlake was legitimately talented. He could sing, dance, and perform at the highest level. His success wasn't unearned. He just chose to build his career on Prince's groundbreaking work, instead of carving out his own original path. After Prince died in 2016, Timberlake did a tribute at the 2018 Super Bowl halftime show, right in Minneapolis, Prince's hometown. For many fans, it felt more like another case of Timberlake taking from Prince's legacy without really honoring it. The whole situation perfectly showed Prince's lifelong fight against cultural appropriation in music. How the industry often rewards those who borrow instead of those who create. Stealing someone's sound? That was one thing, but what happened when a band totally butchered Prince's most sacred masterpiece? That took things to a whole different level. Number 2. Maroon 5. In 2012, Maroon 5 did something that, to Prince, felt like a straight-up musical crime. They took his iconic track, Kiss, a song he treated almost like a sacred ritual, and turned it into everything he loathed about today's pop scene. This wasn't just a cover. It was, in his eyes, a total betrayal of what the song stood for, so much so that he seriously thought about suing them. Kiss had always been a special kind of masterpiece for Prince. Back in 1986, he created it as a lesson in musical restraint. The original was stripped down to the bare essentials, a simple drum machine, a minimal bass line, and Prince's airy falsetto. Every sound was there for a reason, and the silences between the notes spoke volumes. Legend has it that Prince spent hours cutting out anything that wasn't absolutely necessary until the groove was pure and uncluttered. That minimalist approach was revolutionary at the time. While everyone else piled on layers of instruments and effects, Prince was proving that sometimes less really is more. Kiss hit number 1 because of what it left out, not what it added. The space in the music was as crucial as the notes themselves. Then, Maroon 5 came along and pretty much destroyed all of that. They layered on electric guitars, extra percussion, and vocal harmonies that filled every empty space in the original. Adam Levine swapped out Prince's delicate falsetto for a more standard rock-style voice. What they ended up with was a polished pop rock song, but it completely missed the point of what Kiss was about. When Prince heard their version for the first time, he had a raw, immediate reaction. A former Paisley Park engineer later shared that Prince said Maroon 5 had taken all the spaces out of the music, showing they totally missed what made Kiss work in the first place. For Prince, this wasn't just about liking one version better than another. Kiss embodied his entire musical philosophy. It was proof that knowing when to stop is just as important as knowing what to play. It showed how careful editing and restraint can create something far more powerful than cramming every possible sound into a track. But Maroon 5 treated the song like it was unfinished, like it needed more guitars, more beats, more everything to improve it. They didn't get that Prince had already reached perfection by stripping it down. Things got worse when Adam Levine said in interviews that Prince had given his blessing for the cover. That was a total lie. Prince's former manager, Albert Magnoli, said Prince called right after hearing that claim, furious that Maroon 5 hadn't even reached out to him. That false endorsement pissed Prince off more than the cover itself. Levine wasn't just twisting Prince's vision, he was stealing credit for it. Prince reportedly considered suing, but decided it wasn't worth the hassle. This whole incident showed just how many modern artists treat classic songs like rough drafts to be fixed with extra production, instead of finished pieces deserving respect. Maroon 5 honestly thought they were making Kiss better by piling on more layers. Prince saw this as a big problem in the industry. Artists forgetting the power of restraint. They figured more instruments, more effects, and bigger production meant better music. They missed the magic of knowing what to leave out. At a small club show in 2013, Prince spoke about the issue without naming names. Before performing Kiss, he told the crowd some songs shouldn't be covered, and some need to be undressed rather than dressed up. Everyone knew exactly who he was talking about. This wasn't just about one cover. It summed up everything Prince fought against in modern music. Maroon 5 could play the notes and rhythms, but they didn't understand why those choices mattered. It was like they'd learned the steps, but missed the dance. Prince's reaction also showed how fiercely he protected his legacy. Kiss wasn't just a song to him, it was a statement about his whole approach to music and creativity. By turning it into generic pop rock, Maroon 5 had trampled on the very principles that shaped his career. In the end, The Clash was a clear sign of the divide between Prince's generation and the new wave of artists. Prince built his music by cutting away the noise until only the essentials remained. Maroon 5's generation, by contrast, built by adding layer after layer until every last space was filled. But when a blues legend dared to question Prince's guitar skills, all bets were off. Who even had the nerve to challenge the Purple One's mastery? Number 1. Eric Clapton. Back in 1985, the stage was set for a feud that would simmer for years, when Eric Clapton dropped some words that haunted Prince long after. In a Rolling Stone interview, Clapton basically brushed Prince off as all flash and no real depth, saying that true blues mastery came from a lifetime of experience, not just technical skill. These weren't just casual jabs, they struck right at the core of who Prince was as an artist. Word of those comments made their way back to Prince, and according to his former tour manager Alan Leeds, he never forgot them. This wasn't just bruised ego talking. Clapton had questioned Prince's authenticity and his right to be counted among guitar legends. For a guy who'd been shredding since childhood and was constantly reinventing the guitar's possibilities, that dismissal was like a direct challenge. What made this rivalry so electric was that it wasn't just personal. It was a clash of two totally different musical worlds. Clapton stood for tradition, pure blues, respect for the old masters, and the belief that guitar greatness came from paying your dues over decades. Prince was the opposite, breaking rules, blending genres, and bending the guitar to his will. While Clapton paid homage to his heroes, Prince demanded that the guitar worship him. This simmering tension exploded in 2004 at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction. Prince joined a star-studded tribute to George Harrison, performing While My Guitar Gently Weeps alongside other legends. Then, he unleashed one of the most unforgettable solos in rock history. The crowd was blown away, not just by the playing, but by the finale. When Prince tossed his guitar high into the air, confident, it would be caught somewhere out of sight. Sheila E., Prince's longtime drummer and trusted collaborator, remembered the energy backstage that night in 2004 before they hit the stage at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction. Prince, always calm but razor-focused, turned to her and said, "They're gonna know I don't just wear purple, I play it." It wasn't just a clever line, it was a warning. He knew exactly what he was about to do and who it was aimed at. That now legendary guitar solo during "While My Guitar Gently Weeps" was more than just a flawless performance. From the moment Prince stepped into the spotlight, he had a purpose. The solo was electric, fluid, and wild but precise. Every note felt like a challenge to the traditionalists, a message to those who had ever doubted his place among the guitar greats. And when he threw his guitar into the air at the end, not even looking back to see where it landed, it wasn't just showmanship, it was the exclamation point. The room froze. The audience gasped. Prince had just delivered the ultimate mic drop without saying a single word. To him, that entire moment was a response, decades in the making, to the quiet gatekeeping in rock and blues circles, especially to artists like Eric Clapton, who represented a more conservative, reverent approach to the guitar. Treat it like sacred ground. Follow the rules. Don't stray too far from the blueprint. Prince made his answer clear that night. He didn't just play purple. He was purple. Bold, different, unapologetically inventive. And in that moment, he carved out his place among the legends, not by imitating what came before, but by daring to redefine what could come next. Prince once told a guitar magazine in 2009 that some people worship their guitars, but he made the guitar worship him, a subtle jab at Clapton's more reverent approach. And in a rare 2010 interview, when asked about Clapton, Prince gave a telling reply. Sure, Clapton had the chops, but had he ever made anyone dance, rethink their identity, or challenge norms? For Prince, music was about transformation, not just technical skill. Their rivalry wasn't just about ego or guitar skills, it was about where music was headed. Would the guitar remain stuck in its blues rock roots, or evolve into something new and boundary-breaking? Prince bet on the latter, and his legacy proved innovation and virtuosity could go hand in hand. Though they never fully patched things up, Prince's 2004 Hall of Fame moment was his ultimate response to Clapton's dismissal. When Prince threw that guitar into the air, he wasn't just putting on a show, he was boldly claiming his place as one of music's greatest and most fearless innovators. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. Also, check out another interesting video by clicking on the video shown on your screen. See you on the other side.